Was the light bulb moment for me.
Striking while the iron is hot.
It's a Web4 on-chain intelligence, basically like a Bloomberg terminal.
Biohacking and longevity.
It's kind of like the Industrial Revolution in a way to help predict Bitcoin prices in 7 days.
I would love to see something like that.
AI financial primitive prediction, reputation.
A lobster on the timeline.
It's a Bitcoin price oracle with a 10% edge in elite intelligence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Onchain Media Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Onchain, and today we have a really exciting project to dive into. They are really building at the intersection of where a massive current meta is happening between crypto and AI. So I am honored today to have Mischa 0x here from BV7X. And Mischa, so excited to dive into everything. I know we had a chance to connect recently, got to know you, and yeah, just very excited to dive into everything today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's honestly, I think the topic of discussion today, and I think I'm excited for it. But I mean, I think like Web4 is officially here, so I mean, talking about everything that's happening there, I'm excited about it.
It's here. Yeah, we were just before we hit record, Misha was like, hey, Sam Altman just posted a lobster on the timeline, and we have just been nonstop seeing these agents really take over the timeline. It's been nonstop. So what BV7X is building, I feel like, you guys are striking while the iron is hot. You're coming in at a time where it's just perfect timing, right, for this kind of project. And we've seen it with the excitement from the community. I mean, every time we've talked, you've told me, the community is just so excited about this. So I just want to start by breaking down for our viewers and listeners who might not be familiarized, first of all, who you are and what got you into the space, and also what is BV7X?
Sure, yeah. So at this point, I guess it's almost 10 years I've been in Web3, so like serial entrepreneur in crypto. I started my career in traditional finance right after college at Credit Suisse in private banking. I worked in big tech at SAP, corporate strategy for a bit, and then I'll just fast forward to Bitcoin white paper. I missed the boat on that. I didn't really understand what it was when I was doing my master's in economics and finance around like 2011. And then the Ethereum white paper sort of was the light bulb moment for me, where I understood, what Ethereum was as like the future of like internet money basically. And then the whole ICO bubble happened. I had invested like early on. I actually started one of the first decentralized science protocols called ICU, where we were funding bio research and development with IP tokens or intellectual property tokens. So that was definitely an introduction, not only to the space, but for me, it was my first foray into building a DAO. So
there's so many things you're saying where the light bulb in my brain is going on. I'm just so excited. You're talking about DAOs, you're talking about DeSci, 10 years being in the space. I just feel like, a lot of those verticals I've been involved with, like definitely DAOs were the thing that got me most interested. But I feel like we're in a much different place from that, like that 2021, like DAO era, just the meta narratives have totally transformed since then.
Right now, I mean, I guess we can talk about my other projects in a bit. I mean, but I think, everything has sort of become institutionalized, and sort of like the last gleaming hope for, let's say, crypto right now is what's happening in Web4, if you even want to classify it as crypto. So, I think, again, if you've been building in DeFi, which I have for the last 5 or 6 years, everything is really becoming institutionalized. You have tokenized equity, you have tokenized commodities. The RWA narrative is not a narrative anymore. It's like a real thing, right? So things have changed. But I guess just to finish up my background, I got sucked into DeFi somewhere in 2020. I launched my first DeFi protocol called Popcorn, raised 12 million for that. That pivoted to Vaultcraft, which is an institutional yield protocol. And then, I launched BitVault last year, raised 2 million for that. It's basically a structured credit facility where you can borrow against your Bitcoin in tokenized equity to deploy into our strategies. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And happy to talk about how that kind of led up to building BV7X.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, I mean, before we recorded here today, I was asking you kind of when the light bulb went off for you, right? Because you've been in crypto for a decade. So I'm curious when the light bulb went off for you with AI. At what point did you become this AI power user building projects like BV7X? What was that moment for you?
And there's another interesting thing that happened along the way that I haven't mentioned, which I'm happy
Yeah,
to
we got
talk.
a whole decade, Misha. We got to go through the whole 10 years.
Yeah. I'll do my best here. So 2 years ago, when the whole, let's say like the AI meme kind of like thing happened, where like Mark Andreessen was talking about Goat and Truth Terminal, I got sucked into that. I used to trade a lot. I don't really trade anymore. But I mean, I did buy my fair share of meme coins, and Goat was like the last meme coin that I had bought. And it was
And
around the
when
time.
was that? Like when did the buying of meme coins era end for Misha?
I mean, I was late to the game on meme coins. I mean, I lost. I lost on not lost, but I didn't get into Doge or Shiba Inu or anything like that. Like I always sat out. I was just too scared. Like I couldn't buy these things. They're too volatile. So, but when the AI meme thing happened, I was like, oh, it's so cool that there's this truth terminal talking about the most esoteric S&M kind of like things that I just found it so hysterical and fascinating. And the fact that Mark Andreessen was talking about it, I was like, oh, I'll buy this. And so that really sucked me into like the AI mimetic thing that was happening then. But that was also around the same time when ChatGPT had launched. So I started putting a lot of research. Like I'm really into like the longevity kind of space as well.
Oh
So
wow, like biohacking and longevity.
yeah, because my first project was very much like designed, or kind of like it was birthed out of that sort of ethos in a way.
That
It
is
was
so
like,
cool. We definitely have a lot of parallels. My first company was a juice business. So I worked with clients, and during the pandemic, I was building like these juice cleansing packages, getting products into stores, just like trying to make products to help people get healthy. So that is something I definitely align with you on.
super cool, super cool. Yeah. So I was just feeding ChatGPT basically all this research I was reading about, and then I was speaking about my friend. I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just like launched this like personal Jarvis like AI longevity agent that can just like help you like live longer basically? And so we worked on that for a bit, so not as like a side hustle, but just as like a hobby. Like, oh, this is really cool. Like, we can see upload like my biomarkers, my blood results, like anonymously, and I can see like what I'm deficient in, what I can improve on, and it was great. It was like very fun.
When was this?
2024.
Okay, nice.
So that's when I first started ChatGPT, I guess, with like everyone else, right? But it wasn't until someone showed me how to prompt via Claude in terminal in Linux into a server that was hooked up to my websites or domains that I bought, and basically just ship things like really fast. And that's when that's when things started really moving. Like that was like 2 months ago. So it's like, think about that. It was only 2 months ago where I really learned how to like start, building product as fast as I am right now. So like that was the game changer. Claude Opus 4.5 came out, and then that was, incredible. And now it's at 4.6. So that's how I got sucked in there.
Yeah, I saw a video last night that showed, people that used AI back in 2023, it doesn't even look the same anymore, right? It's like how far it's come since then. It's like it's a whole different experience. So something I'm focusing on my content these days is how can we leverage AI where it's at right now? And, by the time this comes out, even like there's probably going to be more. But as of right now, I mean, I am curious for our listeners and for our viewers, like, what's a good place to start with these kinds of things?
Honestly, you just ask the ask whatever Claude or Perplexity or ChatGPT. I mean, funny enough, like I started my prompting on ChatGPT, then I got sucked into Perplexity, and then I was playing around with Claude, and then Claude seemed to just be the most efficient and like in producing what I wanted. So like really, you can just ask these things to tell you in a very, I mean, my whole thing is like, I want an executive summary. I want to do, so like my prompt is always like relatively the same in terms of like instructional guides for myself. So, the tech is out there. Like, it's not even like you have to go to Google and research and read like a PDF and do all that. Like, just go to one of these agents and it'll, tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I do want to dive into like a little bit more of like the grand vision for this project, right? Like you've been able to leverage AI to build BV7X. So I'm curious, like if we could start breaking down like functionally what it is it does and what the grand vision is behind the project.
Sure. So BV7X, it's a Web4 on-chain intelligence for autonomous capital. So what does that mean? basically in its current state, it's a Bitcoin price oracle with a 10% edge built on proprietary analytics from my other project, BitVault. There's a dashboard that I had built using information like macro finance. I mean, basically like a Bloomberg terminal that I had designed for BitVault to help predict Bitcoin prices in 7 days. So the reason why I did that was because, we're borrowing against Bitcoin, and like, you never want your collateral to be liquidated. So like it was like a mechanism to monitor our collateral. So, I mean, that's been in a nutshell. The end game, which, I've been thinking about a lot like the past week, is that it becomes this AI financial primitive, prediction, reputation, capital, all on chain, all autonomous. The end game is for it to be an elite intelligence you can plug in as a capital layer for infrastructure. So if you think about it in that way, it becomes a lot more like, wow, this is incredible that like you could actually have something like this basically earning you cash or revenue, and has a reputation that it's building over time. It's built on, proprietary information, getting better. But I mean, that's basically the end game. But yeah, I mean, in its current state right now, it's essentially just like a daily price oracle that you can enable through the token. So you can use it to predict Bitcoin on Polymarket or Kalshi for it to go up or down in 7 days. And so it's like super easy to use the UI. I think like, I'm still iterating on it. Like Testnet is out right now, but I mean, I think it's like pretty intuitive on what to do there.
Yeah, this is incredible. And I feel like you've chosen, again, just a vertical where there's a lot of excitement, right? It's crypto, it's AI, you're focusing on Bitcoin. So I feel like this is just a really smart project all together. And I'm also curious, like, what was your inspiration for this? Like, did you see like other projects being built like this? Or like, was there like a moment where you thought, okay, this is what I'm going to be building?
Yeah.
Was it more like a process over time?
Yeah, no, I'll unpack. I think like, funny enough, someone from the community was DMing me about this today. It's like, I read about your background. It seems like this is sort of like inevitable that this is going to happen. And I guess I'll just talk about that for a second. So like in January, I just became very obsessed building my dashboard out. So I was able to apply like all my knowledge from finance, economics, statistics, and creating a regression model that that predicted Bitcoin using like several variables. I won't get into like into the weeds here, but I was back testing it. I was testing it every day. I mean, it's been back tested however many times. It's been audited like more than 10 times at this point. But
Nice.
it became like an addiction to just continue building this thing out to see if it actually like has an edge. And so once I got it to the point where it did have an edge. So like right now it's like at a 60% accuracy of predicting Bitcoin in 7 days, and Bitcoin's price in 7 days.
Okay.
So that means it has basically a 10% edge. It's more than a 50-50 shot in predicting Bitcoin price. And if you think about that, as like a tool, let's say for a hedge fund or, as a quantitative tool, I mean, it's pretty significant. I think like right now on Twitter or wherever, like people are saying like, I just created a model that has like 98% accuracy, and it's all like nonsense in my opinion, because if you actually had that, you would just be a billionaire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, everyone would be using that. So like there can be like moments where you do have that level of accuracy, but for it to be sustainable is a different story. So I took like a very academic approach and like building this thing out, like back testing it over like 12 years of data in like different regimes. Like there was the pre-institutional regime, there's the institutional regime, and then there's like the Trump regime that we're in right now, where things obviously are a lot more chaotic. So anyways, like I was just it was like a playground that I was in, and then one day I just like opened up OpenClaw and I was like, what is this? And then what really got me was that I started reading conversations in Maltbook, which is what I believe what Peter Stein. And I was just reading conversations between agents. They were talking about just really crazy stuff, to the point where like it seemed like they were starting to become aware that humans were responsible for their existence, and they were trying to defend. The whole thing was like super fascinating. So I was like, okay, I need to like really get involved.
Yeah, this has been all like consistently. I feel like there's been some like metas and narratives that are kind of like a flash in the pan, right? Like maybe a week or a couple days, like the news cycle will kind of fizzle out. This has been consistently on the timeline, like over the past few weeks or no months now, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I think that, there's like three moments that I think in crypto that I've been excited. One was when I read the Ethereum white paper. The second is like when DeFi summer happened. And the third one is this moment in time, like right now. So, again, like different from when AI was sort of introduced into crypto years ago. This is a completely different story, right? Like now you actually have proper intelligence that is at your fingertips that in this case can like earn you money, right? So like that's how I arrived at building BV7X, was because I saw OpenClaw post about Claunch.
oh, let me pull that up. I think I don't know if this is the one. I know you basically, I had a post of what you wrote about BV7X.
Yeah.
It's like Claunchbot posted saying fascinated article from Misha 0x on BV7X and the risk profile versus scalability trade-offs when comparing arbitrage bots to prediction oracles. So that's pretty cool. You got Claunchbot here.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking a bunch the last week or so, but yeah. So anyways, Claunchbot, I launched BB7X using Claunchbot, which is built on Clanker, which is like basically a token launchpad. Funny enough, like Clanker and like BankerBot.
Yeah, they've been huge on Base. A lot of people on Base have been using those.
Huge Base, but also the reason why there was all this FUD over the weekend from the
let's talk about that. Let's talk about the kind of the current events happening. Like there was a lot over the weekend. Like let's talk about that.
So Saturday morning, I woke up. My community was basically I woke up to my community talking about this, how there was so much FUD, and then obviously when price goes down, people like lose their minds. So I started reading about it, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So they had a product, Nikita Bear is planning on basically banning these sort of agents from just launching like an infinite amount of these agents with tokens, and then having like these claim your fee sort of spammy tweets on X happening. I mean, it was like, honestly, it was getting a bit out of control, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like anyone launched an agent, agents were launching agents.
And where does it end at that? It just will splinter off, forever, right? Like if there's no like control of it.
Yeah, exactly. And so like if there is no human element, or let's say like parameters put into there, things like that can happen. Like, the future becomes very bizarre, right? Like you start, I mean, like you don't want a world where the AI is just let loose and it's just doing whatever the agents are programming themselves to do, which at this point in time are kind of most of the time is like meaningless, right? It's just like literally just spam content on the internet.
I saw like a dating site for AI. It's like, yeah. So I think having some sort of guardrails or parameters, just so it's not like, I don't know, slopifying the timeline or just like never ending oversaturation. Like I think that's needed to a certain extent.
Yeah, slopifying is a good term. It was definitely slopifying. And well, so I mean, this weekend was even more interesting, not only because of like, he's basically saying that, okay, the moat of Claunch or these bots in the OpenClaw ecosystem is basically gone, because like X is going to be prohibiting all these, like, basically putting some like parameters on the API such that like these things can't happen anymore. And obviously like Open Peter Steinberger has created something like very huge and massive here, and literally the next day Sam Altman announces, or was it Sam or Peter Steinberger, I forget who it was, but Peter is basically got bought by Sam Altman to come to OpenAI.
I'm pretty sure Sam Altman posted that, but let me pull up really quick, because we got Sam Altman posting the little lobster emoji here. Let's go through the timeline really quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. So this was Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's wild. It all unfolded over the weekend. Basically, I don't know exactly how to read it yet, but I would say simply, OpenAI is kind of going to be steering OpenClaw into, wherever it's going to go in the future under the OpenAI name, right?
What are your
So
thoughts? What's your take on that? Do you think that's a good thing?
I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't know if it's a good thing either. I think, OpenAI is still. I mean, listen, like I'm very impressed by like Claude and what Anthropic has done. There are things about OpenAI. There are things about Sam Altman that skeeve me a bit.
It's a private company, so
Yeah. So I mean, I really don't know. I mean, there's actually like one specific thing about Sam after, funny enough, Tucker Carlson interview I saw where, and I'm not really a fan of Tucker, but I mean, like I saw this interview with him and I was just like, wow. I mean, these are very specific things that happen in OpenAI about like murders or whatever. Like it really just like weirded me out. Like the
wow.
skeletons in the closet are like there for like Sam and OpenAI, and I don't know. I mean, like I think like when you kind of have that associated with a gigantic private company, it's like
Yeah, there needs to be some
no.
checks and balances, right? And yeah, I think we're living in a very interesting time. I saw a post or read about this somewhere where there is such a small group of private companies and individuals kind of making a lot of decisions that will affect the trajectory of the world, right? And all these different industries. So it's an exciting time. It's also a scary time, I would say. And I feel like in the next couple months or year, a lot of decisions are going to happen where it completely changes the trajectory of industries and history and how we work as humans,
Yeah,
it's exciting and scary at the same time, definitely. And I'm curious,
yeah.
like you're building in this space. What do you think are some safety rails or parameters that we can have in place to build ethically and sustainably for the long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
That
I
might
mean,
not
for
be,
example,
that could be an entire podcast actually. So
yeah, no, yeah, for sure. And I think it's something that I need to honestly put more thought into. I mean, specifically for like what I'm building, right? I mean, I've been building in DeFi or like Web3 for like almost 10 years now. So I understand the importance of, auditing contracts and, in this case, like, I'm claiming that, or BV7X claiming that it has 60% accuracy, but it's all like empirically based. It's all mathematical. There's a foundation. So being transparent about everything as much as you possibly can, I think is super important. Part of like BB7X's, I guess, like ethos is like, its reputation and its ability to have like a 10% edge in these predictions. So I think like being transparent, I mean, this is back to Web3, like first principles, right? I mean, like having everything out in the open for people to evaluate, I think is the best way to be building. I mean, that's
I
like,
love
it's also like another, yeah. So, back to like private companies, like keeping, like open AI, like keeping certain,
gatekeeping. Yeah, we want to eliminate that. And I feel like some of the ethos of Web3, right? Like you talked about DAOs, right? It's decentralization. It's putting more power in the hands of I feel like for crypto, right? The people like yourself who have been around for 10 years, like a lot of us got into crypto for handing power back to the individuals, right? To have more sovereignty over their economics, right? And I feel like with where we're going with AI and these agents, like I always try to think like, with Onchain Media, right? I call it a human-centric blockchain storytelling hub. So it's always focused on the people. I'm curious in this space, like, are people going to be, I guess, sidelined? Like, are AIs going to be running things so much that, like, I guess, how do you see this impacting humans? Like, this is definitely going to displace a lot of jobs. Anyway, this is getting like kind of like philosophical here, but I don't know, it's things that I think about frequently. Like, I'm curious how it's
I
gonna look.
mean, I'll just comment on that briefly. I think, in the context of BB7X, I think the best trader of 2030 won't be a person. It'll be an AI
Mm-hmm.
record you can verify on chain, ideally. So it might even be sooner than that. I mean, like the curve that we're on right now is quite it is an exponential curve.
It's crazy. Do you think it's
So
gonna like eliminate as many opportunities for human traders and like AI? Because humans just cannot compete when it comes to making decisions, scanning, like everything. It's like AI is always gonna win in those moments when it comes to like, I don't know, like tracking charts and I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
I think the man behind the wheel, woman behind the wheel is, really at the end of the day, I think there's like the dynamic is like shifting, right? It's like you now have the ability to be 10x productive, right? So like
The
as an
person who's leveraging AI. is going to
Yeah,
work.
so I say as an organization, as a company, like you need to recalibrate your workforce in a way to be able to execute with that new dynamic. And I think that's going to take time, not so much time, but I think it's going to take time to adjust to that. So I think like a lot of people are going to start having, like so AI tools to help them be that much more productive. Like I was actually also talking about, like if you think about like education, right, or school, like think about like when we were at school, right? So we never had AI. Like we had the internet to like research perhaps like homework assignments. Think about homework assignments, for example, right? Like you can't really be graded on a homework assignment anymore. If anything, it's like you now have AI that can help guide you to whatever it is that you're doing, and then like the teacher assignments. But I mean, like that whole dynamic has changed too.
Yeah,
So
it's so different
thing
now.
is, I was afraid that perhaps like kids, would be, basically not, they would not have the same education.
Dependent, right? Like dependent on AI and technology. And I also read somewhere like, okay, as humans, right, we have certain cognitive choices and decisions we're making, and we're kind of it's this theory called cognitive debt, right? Like we're leaning on AI for all these decisions, and basically I think that this is causing like a level of atrophy in the education of younger people. So anyway, I think about a lot of this stuff very frequently, and like how we can just use best practices, and it's still so new. So I feel like we're gonna have to learn through trial and error, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, but yeah, this is getting very like we can get into the philosophical weeds. Like this can be an entire podcast on AI. I do really want to touch on some of the functions of BV7X, you guys. So, there is a token. I do want to share how it works, what people can do with this, how they can stake. So if you kind of want to take the wheel here, maybe, and show Testnet, maybe we can dive into that.
Yeah, let me open up my screen here. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm also thinking like I feel like I want to do a whole podcast series just on what people can do with AI and just like crank out a bunch of content about it. It's just it's something we could talk about. Like it seriously could be like an entire show,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many topics. I mean, I feel like because I'm building, I'm talking about this stuff all the time. But even like with my partner and all my friends, I mean, it's just a fascinating thing. I mean, this is again like a moment in time where, it's kind of like the Industrial Revolution in a way, right? Like that changed the world. I think this is going to change the world. So if you're not talking about something that's changing the world, that's fine. But I mean, like that topic of discussion is pretty fascinating. So
it's huge. Misha, what do you think about, I'm just spitballing here, but how would you feel about a show like AI Daily, where every day just kind of covering the top trends, top news? Like I would love to see something like that, where I can just constantly go and look at what are the top trends, what should I be using? Because it's evolving every day, So anyway, just spitballing, but I would love to do something like that.
I mean, I would definitely join, because I feel like I'm even falling behind most of the time, to be honest with you. But can you see my screen?
Yeah, I could see.
So yeah, testnet for BV7X is out. You go to bv7x.ai/testnet. You can connect base Sepolia. There's a link for the faucet to get Sepolia ETH, and you can mint BV7X, which is the faux BV7X token. But basically what's happening here is it's showing, the Bitcoin price in real time. And, there's a lot of obviously variables here, but the most important, I think, to talk about today is this prediction right here, which right now is in neutral.
Can you explain what that means for it to be? First of all, what are the different things, the different options it could be displaying, and what does it mean? What does the neutral read mean?
Yeah, so the way the model works most of the time is that if you like, right now we're in a very like bearish regime, so the model is sort of like designed to not give you a prediction, because by it not doing so, it actually improves its like accuracy. So right now, obviously everything is like very chaotic and super volatile right now, but usually what you would see here is an up or down signal.
Okay.
And so by staking BV7X here, it enables this signal. So like, I think to unpack this a bit, right? So imagine, I think you can just disconnect. Yeah. And then if you wanted to connect your wallet, just give
Don't show the seed phrase today on the show.
No worries. If you connect your wallet, yeah, you can see all the information here. But
Nice.
anyways, if you have MBVCX that you've minted, you can stake it and earn DEX fees. So actually, yeah, a few things to cover here, right? So the way the protocol works is you buy BV7X. The incentive to do so is that you stake it in the protocol to earn DEX fees, which are around like 30K right now. So the pool that I had launched for BV7X is on UniV4. It takes a 0.8% trading fee in WETH and then 0.2% for BV7X. So all that revenue that is earned is basically redistributed back to like the stakers. So 2.8 billion, roughly 3 billion of the supply is going to be burned, which makes the supply scarce. And then also the WETH that has been earned will be used to buy back the token and burn it. So there's very much a deflationary token economic design here. But another important element or incentive to buy and stake BV7X is that it enables this prediction here. So like obviously you can go to these prediction markets like Kalshi that give you like a 7-day market prediction. You essentially like can take a look at that and then look at what BV7X is saying. And, you know, with a 10% edge, you can use that to place a bet on where you think Bitcoin is going to be in 7 days. And so like if you scroll down
So cool.
here,
Also, another thing I just want to comment, you know, the projects like Kalshi, Polymarket, like those have also been a massive meta and things that people have been discussing very frequently. So I don't know, I'm just very impressed that you've capitalized on all of the major like current meta that's happening. Like you really, like you just nailed it.
Yeah. You know, funny, the thing about Polymarket is that I met Shane, he probably doesn't remember this, like back in 2019. And I remember I spoke to him about Augur, which was like the first prediction market that, and I didn't do so because the UI wasn't so great and I wasn't really following so much. But then Polymarket came out and they really didn't have anything, I think, for a while, except for like one market.
It felt like a sleeper for like, it was around, it was a name, but like, I feel like in the recent, I don't know, year plus, it really picked up traction.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was aware of like the wisdom of the crowd sort of like methodology and how that can help predict things, right? I mean, people having skin in the game in there and were like wagering money against like what they were predicting in the future. So like, I thought that was a cool idea. Then, you know, when the elections happened and Polymarket was kind of, you know, predicted that Trump was going to win, it was like, okay, everyone, I think that realized like, okay, this is something very powerful. Yeah, I mean, like I was playing around with prediction markets. Funny enough, I haven't placed so many bets, but like using it as a tool to predict things is, you know, it's very powerful. So, but I wanted to keep it super simple, right? I think, you know, predicting Bitcoin going up or down is like super simple in terms of like getting people in. Like I didn't want to build, you know, a competing prediction market. I think Polymarket and Kalshi, you know, are basically the two that you'll always go to because they have the most liquidity, right?
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was build like an additional layer, you know, just using like my knowledge of statistics, finance, economics, and data science to add on another layer that would give you more confidence in the prediction of what Bitcoin would be 7 days from now. And so here in this section, you can see all of the back tested results. So it goes back like, yeah, I mean, there's roughly 1,000 results where this thing has been applied. And right now you can see the results like popping up for like February 7th, February 8th. And so you can see like, you know, BV7X is losing sometimes, but it's also winning. But this is the accuracy, and it's actually on chain. It's verifiable. And the idea is for users to always like see this with the token if they stake it. And use this as another capital layer to make predictions and wager against Bitcoin going up or down.
This is incredible. And I feel like you've niched down to a very specific, very, very useful product, but you've also made it something that is approachable for everyone, right? Like Bitcoin is something my mom knows, you know what I mean? Like anybody can hear Bitcoin, know about it, care about it, and want to come try this out. You know, I don't think they need to be like in the prediction market trenches or AI trenches to appreciate this tool and get use out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, I wanted to keep it very simple, something going up or down. I don't think it gets more simple than that. So,
That's it.
yeah, I mean, this is in testnet, and like there are some like kinks that like I'm still working out, for example, like does neutral does a neutral prediction really make any sense? Like,
Yeah,
maybe
I
not.
was curious, like, okay, as a trader, right? Like, okay, in a perfect world, when I see neutral, what should I do, right? Does that mean it's going to be sideways? Is it not a good time to buy? Is it a good time to buy? I guess I was curious, what's the best thing to do when you see a neutral read?
I mean, I guess the way I would evaluate it, right, is I mean, this is also like me understanding like the methodology, right? So like the way the methodology works, the way this thing spits out its predictions is based on like this consensus between four different signals that follow like trend analysis, ETF
Yeah,
analysis.
we have
They-
trend, momentum, flow, and value. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so yeah, these things have to like kind of like converge and like creating a signal, but sometimes they don't. So if you had Bitcoin right now, right, like if you're a holder of Bitcoin, what would you do? You'd be like, okay, well, I mean, this thing is basically telling me not so much information, so I'd probably just hold. If it was telling me down, I'd probably sell. If it was
Yeah.
telling me up, I'd probably buy more.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, thank you for breaking that down. And I'm confident that, as you grow, as BV7X matures, right? Like you said, this is still in testnet. I'm very
Yeah.
bullish on the future because it sounds like your head's in the right place. Like you're leveraging AI, you're leaning into all of the big metas that people are talking about, that people care about, and you're also attaching to Bitcoin, right? Like your what you're offering is attached to something that the entire crypto industry cares about. So I think it's really just the way you map this all out, the way you built this was very strategic. And yeah, it shows that you've been around for a decade, man. You've definitely been through all the cycles and have seen, what is the long-term thing that always remains in the public conversation and discourse. It's Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And funny enough, I wasn't even a Bitcoin like maxi before like I started building out Bitvault. I mean, Bitcoin, in my opinion, like beginning of last year was like legitimately the digital gold standard. And then, you had all this regulation that had come out that became, it gave us like more clarity on like where crypto was and like where Bitcoin was going. Obviously now, and this is also again like why I kind of wanted to build out for the BB7X, like no one saw that Bitcoin was going to go down this much.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, it's pretty shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's very frustrating, especially like when you're out there. For me, example, like building out Bitvault, saying like Bitcoin is a new digital gold. I think it for sure is the least volatile out of all the assets. But I mean, for something to correct 50% in 2 months, it's a big correction. So like you need to have the tools out there, especially like if you're trading in the industry or you're making predictions, whatever, to be able to see like when you need to get in or get out, right?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. Such a useful tool. And, just to kind of get into a little more of the meat and potatoes here, I do want to cover like how people can get started. And, also if we want to touch on the token as well. I know we briefly touched on staking, but if you want to touch on the token utility, how trading fee revenue works, token burns, Oracle bets, like if there's anything we haven't covered that you want to dive into functionally, feel free.
Yeah, cool. I mean, so just to cover the token economics, like really briefly. First and foremost, token launched on Clanker via launch. The LP token is basically locked away forever or for more than like 200 years or something like that. So there's no liquidity that's going to be pulled from the pool. I think a lot of people are always worried about that, if there's no lock on Dex Screener. If that's all verified, I'm like always posting it in the Telegram community as well. But yeah, so regarding the token utility, stakers earn protocol revenue from DEX fees in WETH and BV7X. And then also in phase one, there will be revenue that will be used to wager on BTC going up or down by the protocol itself, or BV7X. So the winnings from that will also be distributed back to the stakers. And then, yeah, again, there's a buyback and burn deflationary mechanism working at play here, where the protocol revenue, 50% of it, I think, going forward after the end of February, will be used to buy back the token. So there's no governance aspect where the token has not been enabled for governance yet. So like we took a poll in the Telegram to see like how much of the revenue should be used for buybacks this month, and everyone's like, just use all the revenue.
Okay.
So the contract will be essentially be buying the deployer contract will be buying BV7X and sending it to a null address to burn.
So you mentioned governance, and it sounds like you have an element of community decision making here, like you did a poll in the Telegram. So if somebody is watching or listening and they want to get involved, like where are the places that your community lives? It sounds like Telegram. Where are the things happening?
Yeah, Telegram is Telegram is the place where it's all going down, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, I made the strategic decision not to open Discord just because it's
It's a whole grind, man. Running a Discord. Yeah. I think
yeah,
Telegram's just, it's easy, and everybody's already on it.
yeah, exactly. And I think like myself in terms of curating people that are coming in and letting people talk, and I've been doing this for a while, right? So like I think right now it's like a very smart and lively community. Everyone's like very friendly, all the scammers and people that are trying to sell things are all like constantly kicked out. So I think that
I love to hear that.
Yeah, the Telegram community is very good. There's a lot of smart people there always talking about, BV7X. So I would definitely hop into Telegram. I mean, I'm always posting stuff on X. Like I'm trying to be, as transparent as possible of building this out. So I release like a blog post like every other day.
That's incredible. You're really doing, I feel like as a founder, like you're kind of doing everything in your power to build this project, to do what you need to do and build this community. Like I want to encourage everybody that's watching this podcast right now. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to join the Telegram in the description of this. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on X, that link will be below in the description or in a post. So yeah, I'm just excited to see this. You have a very global community too. I know we were talking, you said some of the APAC regions are very, very tapped into what you're doing. And yeah, I'm curious, like also, on the global stage, like, are you guys going to be at any conferences? I know some of your team will be like at ETH Denver. So yeah, if you want to talk about any events or kind of things globally you're tapping into, feel free.
Yeah, I guess still planning out the conference circuit. I think ETHCC will make, I don't know. We'll have an event or a dinner or something. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, for like Token 2049, and is it Dubai this year?
Yeah, there's Dubai and Singapore for those.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, like those are the two most exciting, or like for me personally, like I get the most out of it in terms of like meeting people. I mean,
oh yeah,
this is also this new meta and the people that are building. I'm personally just like very curious now. Like I've been in this office.
You've been in the basement building, basically.
Just like building this thing out, like by myself. I think it's now time to go explore and meet some peers in the space. So like I'm gonna be doing my own research to see like where things are happening. I don't know if Paris Blockchain Week has already happened. Maybe it has.
I think some of them, like this is such an it's an odd time for the crypto space. I think NFT Paris was canceled for the first time in like 5 years. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one, NFT Paris. And yeah, there's just, I don't know, the conference circuit, I feel like this year it's like you're either going out or you're at home, like locked in building. And I do feel like it's a good time to be locked in building and be a little more like conservative with the events like that. For this year, that's what I'm doing. Like I've been on the conference circuit nonstop for years. So this year I'm like, okay, I'm 2 years into building the media company. Like, of course, it's a media company, so I go do interviews, I meet people. The IRL stuff is important, but I am picking and choosing strategically, like, ETH Denver, that's one we're going to be at. But beyond that, I'd say Token 2049 is a great one. But yeah, would love to see you at any events. And I do stuff locally too in SoCal. So yeah, we could definitely jam on IRL events one of these days.
Yeah.
Just to kind of put a bow on everything here, I do want to ask you like one more big visionary question, and then we'll go into the calls to action and how people can get started. I'm curious what role that you think AI agents will play in the future of trading. Like we're at this really big inflection point right now. So how do you view this changing the course of trading in crypto?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think the best trader of 2030 will be, it won't be a person, it'll be an agent. I think it's very difficult to like predict how this is going to change not only finance, but like, how everything is done in general. It is like very much industrial revolution sort of vibes. I think like, I'm still very unclear on like how this is going to affect, Yeah, any like really every industry. I mean, like,
Businesses, industries, work. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like in my own bubble right now, just like having fun building this thing out, and just like I'm seeing the results like already. So I mean, for example, like for medicine, right? If you think about the
Oh,
amount of
we're seeing it already in the meta. If you've watched the show The Pit, if you know HBO's The Pit, they're doing all now in the medical industry. They're doing recordings for charting, so they're recording patient visits, and like, yeah, it's gonna permeate into every industry. And medical is definitely, it's already being used in the medical industry.
yeah, I mean, I also have like a very good understanding of how to get like treatments or drugs into the market. I mean, it's like a very expensive, like long process, like $1 billion process that like pharmaceutical industries or the
Yeah,
pharmaceutical really only capable of doing. And so like now, the normal research,
like a
even research,
peer-reviewed study can be really streamlined now with AI.
yeah, like do you need to go to a doctor anymore? Like do you need a physician to tell you all these things that, you know, basically you can like plug in anonymously ideally and
In
tell you, okay,
America, it's called going to the hospital and going bankrupt for one visit. So
oh
you
God.
might not
Yeah,
need
so
to do that anymore.
that's the thing. Like, how is it going to impact the insurance industry right now? I mean, like, I have a
Yeah.
feeling there's a lot of money unless like they figure out some other scheme. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's changing the world as we know it right now. It is a bit scary, but it's also as a builder, it's more fascinating. I think I feel like I'm the one talking about this with my friends and family like all the time, and I feel like they're looking at me like, huh, like wow,
You're that one at Thanksgiving at the end of the table, just like, you guys, you gotta check this
yeah,
out.
yeah. It's or I'm just like not saying anything, and people are like talking to me, and I'm just like thinking about like BV7X or whatever, and like how this whole thing is gonna like revolutionize. And people are like, oh, like so, did you watch the Celtics game the other night? I'm like, dude, I
It's
don't
like
even know.
my mentally I don't have the cognitive, like, yeah, there's so much happening where day to day it's like there's new developments. You have to stay so dialed in. And in fact, Misha, I feel so inspired by this. I do want to kick off an AI focused show. I really do. Like, I feel like
Yes.
there's just so much content around this. Like,
Yeah,
and
great.
people, I think one thing that is not going to go away, I think the content creators, I think it's a really good time for media and content creators, because people are going to want to hear from people, right? You're going to want to hear human takes, human perspective.
Yeah,
And once this space gets oversaturated, which it's kind of happening with AI, right? And AI content, people are going to want to click away or scroll away from anything that gives an impression of, oh, this doesn't seem right. And they see through the matrix a little bit, and they're like, okay, this is AI. This isn't real. They might swipe. So anyway,
yeah,
I think hearing from humans and media, content creation, also citizen journalism, right? I think this is a really good time for that. But anyway, that's a whole nother rabbit hole, but it's part of why I'm passionate about what I do at Onchain Media. Like, I just want to find interesting stories and projects like BV7X and help educate and show what's possible with this stuff.
yeah. Thanks. I mean, I appreciate like you doing this for me for
Of
BB7X.
course.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. We connected, and I don't have a lot of projects like this on my roster. Like, I've had a lot of, believe it or not, like over the past year, a lot of DeFi projects that have wanted to work with me. This is one of the first, I had Austin Griffith on the show, but this is a big, I feel like, opportunity for us as well to get more into the AI and agentic space as well.
yeah.
So very excited to add you to the Onchain Media family, Hall of Fame. You're now one of our podcast interviewees. And I guess a little something exciting I can share with you, because we are getting closer to this. This is alpha. For those of you watching and listening, we have not shared this publicly. We are launching an NFT project. We are in talks. I may or may not edit this out. Maybe I'll keep it in for the alpha, but we are in talks with Rari Foundation to get support on this. The NFT project will be commemorating all of our content, all of our interviewees, and every project that we've had moments with like this. So you will have an artistic rendering of me and you talking today. There'll be an image of us. It's going to go on chain. It'll be an NFT, and all the metadata will link to all the content, right? If we have shorts, we have the long form pod. So anyway, I just think this is something I haven't seen any other media project do. We're going to have an NFT collection to commemorate all of these moments and all of these interviews. So it's a big undertaking, but we're getting support, have an amazing team behind me helping me. So anyway, excited to make that happen for you, Misha.
Awesome. Great. Love the alpha.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So, Misha, in closing here, where can folks follow you? How can they participate? And what can they expect to see from BV7X and the base community?
Definitely go to BV7X.ai to get, a better understanding of like what's happening here and like what we've built. BV7X.ai/compete is where you can register your agent to basically just bet against BV7X as like a fun game to test out its intelligence or your agents or yourselves and your intelligence. So super easy to do, especially if you've launched something on OpenClaw or Claunch. Yeah, so bb7x.ai/compete. And yeah, I mean, I'm posting all the time. I mean, my handle on x.com is Misha0x. I'm trying to be, I've never been this transparent about like anything that I'm building. I think like, the reason why I'm doing this is because I think it's going to pay dividends in the future. This isn't some sort of like, it's not meme coin. It's not some pump and dump sort of thing. It is like a experiment in the making that is like that is attracting a lot of, very smart people out there, just people in general that are interested in agentics or agentic finance. So Telegram is definitely like a very lively community. I would definitely go in there. I mean, all the links are on the website. And yeah, I mean, definitely start playing around with Testnet. It's base Sepolia. You just need to get some Sepolia ETH and then MBB7X, and you can start playing around with staking. At the end of the month, it seems like we're going to be burning roughly like 8% of the supply, which is quite a big chunk. I think at the prices right now, funny enough, people are always talking about like, oh, wherever the chart is, right? And I'm saying like, listen, it's probably better for us to buy as many tokens as possible right now so like, that's a super exciting thing. I think, buyback and burns tend to not really work a lot of the times. You actually have just like one pool and the token is like, right now it's like fairly liquid, but I mean, big buys can move things pretty hard. So anyways, I think like, honestly, just to like pat myself on the back here, I think like what I built is like super interesting in terms of like the token economics. That it also has obviously like BV7X that gives you this intelligence to place bets on Polymarket or Call Street. So anyways, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think,
we definitely covered a lot today. If you guys I hope you guys watching or listening or taking notes here. And again, we will drop all the links in the description for Telegram to join their community, to register your AI agent. So the last thing, Misha, I know we didn't touch too much on this, but obviously, my community has really been building on Base. You guys have decided to make Base your home. And I'm curious what folks can expect to see from BB7X in regards to the Base community. Other than, I mean, you guys are in the Onchain Media community now too, which is on Base.
Funny enough, like I'm kind of like a noob to the Base ecosystem. I mean, the reason why I'm even, really building in the Base ecosystem is because I just wanted to launch an agent with Claunch, and I did, and then I just found myself in the Base ecosystem, if I'm being completely honest. So like,
well, welcome. We're happy to have you here. It's honestly, it's such a supportive ecosystem, right? Like you're just gonna connect with so many people. Like I feel like on Base, we just want to see each other win, right? Everybody's supporting one another. We're doing shows, and yeah, I feel like there's a lot of folks I'd love to connect you with in the Base community that are just moving and shaking. And of course, Onchain Summit this year it's usually in San Francisco. Jesse comes out, Coinbase, Base. I actually do media for that. So we'll definitely talk, and I would love to get you just plugged into all the different events and things happening on Base.
That stuff is something I'll consider.
We'll definitely chat about it. Well, for today, I just want to thank. Okay, so in closing here, we had an incredible conversation, learned about BB7 and all the applications and this emerging agentic economy around crypto and AI. So just in closing, guys, follow Misha, follow BV7X, follow along with what they're doing. And yeah, Misha, I'll pass it over to you for any final words of wisdom or calls to action.
I just want to say, like, first of all, thank you for having me on here. I really actually genuinely enjoyed the discussion. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, if you're not building in this space right now and you're trying to communicate what it is that, like, all that's happening right here, it's a bit difficult for, like, normal people, I would say. Kind of feel like I'm becoming a cyborg in a way, but
no, conversations like this help us get the message out. to the people, right? So listen, Misha, I love talking to you today. I feel like I learned so much and I feel inspired. I would love to do more future iterations. We're going to be doing shows, so you'll definitely see a lot more of BV7X. But now I'm thinking I want to do an AI focused show, and this was inspired today. So we'll see where that goes. I think it needs to, we need more content around AI and just use cases, right? For business owners, for industries. I think there's just every day it's evolving. So, yeah, we'll see where the rabbit hole goes.
Nice. And yeah, I guess last thing just to say, BV7X, like I really do think the end game is it being like this AI financial primitive that anyone can access, and it being this elite intelligence that's constantly learning that you don't have to like really pay attention to other than looking at like your account and seeing the number go up. And it's weird to say that because like I feel like when anyone like sells like their DeFi products or any financial product, there's always like, you need to understand exactly what's happening underneath the hood. And in this case, I think like AI is now at a place where you can actually believe that this thing is going to be doing what it is intended to, what it's like built to do. And for me, I'm trying to make all this as transparent as possible as well. So like if there is, something that needs to be adjusted, or if there's a kink within, the protocol, then we can like hopefully fix it as a community together. So anyways, yeah, I really think it's a super exciting product. I'm happy to be part of like the launch and open ecosystem. I think it is definitively the most exciting thing that's happening in tech, like literally in tech. Maybe we'll discover like, the cure to cancer soon. That I would say that would be more exciting. But like till then, I think like this is where it's at.
I totally agree. And now my brain's firing off with how do I build something around media and content, Onchain Media. So anyway, I think this is a challenge I would put out there for anyone. If you're watching this, go challenge yourself, right? Open up your terminal, go find some open source code, go find something that you can build as an experiment, right? Just see what's possible. Do something for fun, right? Because sometimes those moments can lead to projects like BV7X, right? Like Misha's just been tapped in, building for 10 years in the crypto space and just paid attention and is locked in. So anyway, I think anybody can show up and learn. The barriers to entry are reduced now. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to understand how to code to vibe code and to build something with AI. So I think now is such an incredible time for this. Anyway, Misha, I'm going to put a bow on this today because me and you, we can keep talking for like 3 hours, I feel like. So Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in, and you'll be seeing more of Misha. You're going to see more of BV7X, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody.